Marry me, and your brother gets the surgery. I stared at the man across the conference table, waiting for him to smile. He didn't. Marcus Hale sat perfectly still in a charcoal suit, one hand resting beside a folder with my name on it. We'd met 12 minutes earlier. Now he was offering me his last name like it was a business loan. That's not funny. My voice came out quieter than I wanted. The attorney between us cleared her throat. Mr. Cole, no one is making light of Noah's condition. I looked down at the hospital estimate again. The number at the bottom seemed to get bigger every time I saw it. I worked nights at a convenience store. I had $43 in savings. My 16-year-old brother needed surgery I couldn't afford. And somehow, this stranger knew all of it. Marcus slid the folder toward me. My company's family insurance would cover most of his treatment. And what do you get? His eyes held mine. Gray. Calm. Almost annoyingly calm. My grandfather left me controlling shares in the company. I received them if I'm married before September 1st. I let out a short laugh. It sounded wrong in the silent room. So you need a husband? Legally, yes. You don't even know me. I know you've been Noah's guardian since you were 21. I know you work double shifts. And I know you've appealed the insurance decision twice. My chest tightened. You investigated me? I made sure you weren't dangerous. That's comforting. Something shifted near his mouth. Not quite a smile. You did the same thing when you searched my name in the lobby. Heat climbed up my neck. I had. Of course he noticed. Marcus opened the folder. A contract. 12 months. Separate finances. Separate bedrooms. No romantic expectations. It should have made the whole thing feel safer. Instead, seeing our names together made my stomach drop. Ethan Cole. Marcus Hale. Like somebody had already written a life I hadn't agreed to live. No, I pushed back from the table. I'm not marrying a stranger. Marcus didn't argue. That was somehow worse. He only closed the folder and stood. He was taller than I'd realized, but he stepped aside instead of blocking my way. The offer stays open until Friday. It won't matter. I hope it doesn't. For the first time, his voice lost that polished, businesslike edge. Just for a second. Then it was gone. I left without shaking his hand. By 11 that night, I'd almost convinced myself I'd made the right decision. Then I heard a crash from the bathroom. I found Noah on the floor, pale and barely conscious, his phone still in his hand. At the hospital, machines beeped around us while a nurse asked for our insurance information. I sat beside his bed, staring at the number Marcus's attorney had written on the folder. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. At 1:47 a.m., I called. Marcus answered before the second ring. Ethan. No irritation. No sleepy confusion. Like he'd been expecting me. I swallowed hard and looked at my little brother beneath the hospital blanket. Is the offer still open? A pause. Soft breathing on the other end. Yes. I closed my eyes. Then I'll do it. All right. His voice stayed steady, but I heard movement, keys, a door opening. I'm coming to the hospital. You don't have to. I know. 20 minutes later, Marcus walked into the waiting room wearing jeans and a dark hoodie instead of a suit. He handed me coffee without asking how I took it. Somehow, it was exactly right. Then he sat beside me, close enough that our shoulders almost touched. There's one condition we haven't discussed, he murmured. I looked at him. What condition? Marcus held my gaze for a long second. If we want anyone to believe this marriage is real, you'll have to move in with me. 3 days later, I married a man I still did not know how to talk to. The county courthouse smelled like old paper and burnt coffee. Marcus stood beside me in a dark blue suit, calm as ever, while I tried not to look like I was about to bolt. Noah watched through a video call from his hospital bed. Grinning like this was somehow normal. You look terrified, he whispered through my phone. I am not terrified. You are holding the pen like it insulted you. Marcus glanced down at my hand. I loosened my grip immediately. The clerk asked us to step closer for the official photo. Marcus moved beside me, and his hand settled lightly against my lower back. It was probably just for the picture. That was what I told myself. But his palm stayed there after the clerk lowered the camera. Warm. Steady. Long enough for my heartbeat to trip over itself. I looked up. Marcus was already watching me. Neither of us moved for a second. Then Noah's voice came through the phone. You two are really bad at pretending this is not weird. Marcus stepped back first. Your brother has excellent timing. He usually does. After we signed everything, Marcus reached into his jacket and placed a small black box on the table. I stared at it. What is that? A ring. I can see that. Then we are making progress. I gave him a look, but he almost smiled. Almost. Inside was a simple silver band. Nothing flashy. Still, my stomach tightened when he picked it up. We need to look convincing for the insurance review. And for my family. You already know my ring size? You mentioned it to the attorney. Once. Marcus held my gaze. I remember things. That should not have affected me. It was a ring size. A detail. Nothing more. I held out my hand anyway. His fingers brushed mine as he slid the band into place. The touch was brief, but his thumb caught against my knuckle before he let go. I stopped breathing for half a second. Marcus noticed. Of course he did. His eyes lifted to mine, quieter now. Too tight. No, my voice came out rough. It is fine. He looked at the ring, then back at me. Good. The word landed differently than it should have. I pulled my hand back and shoved it into my pocket. Outside, rain had started tapping against the courthouse steps. Marcus opened an umbrella and held it over both of us as we walked toward his car. We had to stand close to fit beneath it. Our shoulders kept brushing. Every time they did, I told myself it was the weather. At the car, he opened the passenger door for me. You do not have to do that. I know. That answer again. Simple. Annoying. Somehow worse than if he had tried to be charming. I got in, turning the ring around my finger while Marcus walked to the driver's side. For a few blocks, neither of us spoke. Then he adjusted the rearview mirror and glanced at me. There is something you should know before dinner tomorrow. What now? His fingers tightened slightly around the steering wheel. My family believes we have been together for 8 months. I turned toward him so fast the seatbelt locked. 8 months. Apparently, a sudden courthouse wedding sounded suspicious. Because it is suspicious, which is why we need a story. He looked over at me at the next red light, his expression calm, but his eyes stayed on mine a second too long. So, Ethan, how did we fall in love? By Sunday night, I was standing in Marcus Hale's kitchen arguing with him about coffee like we had been married for years instead of 4 days. That is not coffee, he told me, watching me pour vanilla creamer into the mug. That is dessert with caffeine. You drink yours black. That is not a personality. His mouth twitched, but he looked away before the smile fully formed. I hated that I noticed. I hated even more that I had started looking for it. Moving in had been less dramatic than I expected. Marcus gave me the guest room at the end of the hall, cleared half a bathroom cabinet, and left an empty shelf in the refrigerator with a sticky note that read Ethan. Under it, in smaller writing, he had added Noah too. I stared at that note longer than I should have. It was practical. Marcus was practical. That was all. Still, when I opened the closet and found extra hangers, clean towels, and a phone charger that fit my old phone, something in my chest pulled tight. You bought all this? I asked from the hallway. Marcus glanced up from his laptop. You needed it. You did not know what I needed. Your attorney sent a list. My attorney did not know my phone model. A pause. Marcus looked back at the screen. You used it at the hospital. That should not have mattered. It was just a charger. Just towels. Just space in a house too large for one person. I kept telling myself that until Monday morning, when I woke up on the couch with a blanket over me. I had meant to sit down for 5 minutes after my shift. Instead, I fell asleep with hospital bills spread across the coffee table and one shoe still on. Marcus sat at the other end of the couch, his laptop open, the room lit only by the lamp beside him. What time is it? My voice sounded awful. Almost 2. I pushed myself up. Why are you still awake? Working. You have an office. The couch is comfortable. It was not. I had heard him complain about it on the second day. I looked at the blanket, then at him. Did you put this on me? His eyes stayed on the laptop. The house gets cold. You could have woken me. You looked tired. The room went quiet. Too quiet. I noticed a plate on the table. Chicken, rice, vegetables, all covered with foil. You made food. I made too much. You always make too much. Apparently. I laughed softly, mostly because I did not know what else to do. Careful. Someone might think you were trying to be a good husband. The joke left my mouth too easily. Marcus finally looked at me. He did not smile. His eyes stayed on mine, steady and unreadable, and suddenly I could hear the refrigerator humming from the kitchen. Would that be a problem? My stomach dropped. I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. Marcus watched me for another second, then reached for the plate. Eat before it gets cold. He stood, and as he passed, his fingers brushed the back of my hand. Accidental. Probably. Except neither of us moved away right away. His hand stayed there, warm against mine, for one long, impossible second. Then my phone buzzed on the table. A message from Noah. How is married life? I looked up at Marcus, but he was already walking toward the kitchen. Normal, I typed back. I stared at the word before sending it. It was a lie. The problem was, I was starting to forget what normal had felt like before him. Marcus's family decided our marriage needed to be celebrated, which was how I ended up standing outside his mother's house while he fixed my collar with both hands. Stop moving. I am not moving. You are absolutely moving. His fingers brushed the side of my neck, and every thought in my head disappeared. Marcus was close enough that I could see the faint line between his eyebrows when he concentrated. Close enough that his breath warmed my cheek. There. He lowered his hands, but neither of us stepped back. My pulse started pounding for no reasonable reason. Do married people usually take this long to fix a collar? I tried to make it sound like a joke. Marcus's eyes dropped to my mouth for half a second. Maybe I am committed to the role. The front door opened before I could answer. A woman with Marcus's gray eyes smiled at us from the porch. You must be Ethan. Marcus stepped away so quickly it almost felt like being dropped. Dinner was worse. His mother was kind, which somehow made lying harder. His cousin Grant was not kind at all. He sat across from us, watching every movement like he had been hired to expose fraud. 8 months, Grant repeated, turning his wine glass. And no one met Ethan? Marcus reached for the breadbasket. We kept things private. Where did you meet? I glanced at Marcus. We had practiced this in the car. A bookstore. Simple. Believable. Coffee shop, Marcus answered. I nearly choked on my water. His hand landed between my shoulder blades. You all right? Perfect. I forced a smile. Marcus spilled coffee on me. His mother laughed. That sounds like him. Marcus looked offended. I have never spilled coffee in my life. You apologized by buying me another one, I added, finding the rhythm. Then you sat at my table without asking. You looked lonely. The words came out softer than the rest of the story. Our eyes met. For a second, I forgot we were inventing it. Grant leaned forward. Who made the first move? He did, we answered together. Everyone laughed. Under the table, Marcus's knee pressed against mine. Neither of us moved it. His mother smiled at me. What made you fall in love with him? The question emptied the room of sound. I could have used the answer we practiced. Reliable. Driven. Good with numbers. Instead, Marcus's hand settled lightly on my knee beneath the table. Maybe it was meant to steady me. Maybe it was part of the act. But his thumb moved once against the fabric of my pants, and my chest tightened. He shows up, I said. Marcus went still. Even when nobody asks him to. Even when he pretends it is only practical. His hand stayed where it was. His mother's expression softened. Grant finally looked away. On the drive home, rain tapped against the windshield while Marcus kept both hands on the wheel. He had barely spoken since dinner. Did I mess up? I finally asked. No, then why are you acting weird? His jaw tightened. At the next red light, he turned toward me. Was that answer part of the story? My mouth went dry. I do not know. The light stayed red. Marcus leaned slightly closer, his gaze holding mine. Ethan. The way he said my name made the car feel smaller. I could have told him the truth. I almost did. Then headlights flashed behind us, followed by an angry horn. The light had turned green. Marcus pulled away and drove forward. Neither of us spoke again, but when we reached the house, his hand found mine between the seats. Our fingers touched. Stayed. Then he let go before either of us could decide what it meant. Noah noticed before I did. That was the problem. He was sitting in the hospital infusion room with a blanket over his legs, watching Marcus argue with the billing office on the phone like he had been doing it for years. No, the authorization was approved on Tuesday, Marcus said, pacing near the window. Check the case number again. His voice stayed calm, but his free hand was tight around the back of a chair. 5 minutes later, the charge disappeared from Noah's account. Marcus returned with 2 coffees and a hot chocolate. Mine had too much vanilla creamer. Exactly how I liked it. Noah waited until Marcus stepped into the hallway before looking at me. You like him? I nearly dropped the cup. What? Marcus. He is my husband. That was not my question. I stared at him. Noah raised one eyebrow, looking way too pleased with himself for someone wearing a hospital bracelet. You look at him weird. I do not. You do. And he looks at you worse. Heat climbed up my neck. Can we focus on your treatment? I am focused. This is the most interesting thing that has happened all week. Marcus came back before I could answer. His eyes moved between us. What did I miss? Nothing, I said too quickly. Noah smiled into his hot chocolate. Ethan is just really grateful you are such a devoted husband. Marcus looked at me. Not Noah. Me. Is he? My chest tightened. My brother enjoys making things uncomfortable. I noticed. But Marcus's mouth curved slightly, and that somehow made it worse. Later that afternoon, an insurance representative arrived for what she called a routine eligibility review. She asked where we met, how long we had lived together, which side of the bed Marcus slept on. I knew the answers we had practiced. Still, every question felt like a hand closing around my throat. What did you do for your last anniversary? She asked. Marcus answered without hesitation. We stayed home. I turned toward him. You were exhausted. He continued, eyes steady on mine. So, I made dinner. It had never happened. Not officially. But he had cooked for me almost every night since I moved in. The lie landed too close to the truth. The representative smiled. That sounds nice. When she left, I followed Marcus into the hallway. You are doing too much. He stopped. What does that mean? The calls. The appointments. Showing up here every day. Noah needs help. I can handle my brother. The second the words left my mouth, I regretted them. Marcus's expression changed. Not anger. Something quieter. I know you can. Then stop acting like you have to save us. His jaw tightened. I am not acting. The hallway went silent around us. A nurse pushed a cart past, glancing between us before looking away. Marcus lowered his voice. You think I am here because an insurance investigator might see me? I think this was supposed to be an arrangement. And you think that means I should not care what happens to him. I think you should stop making it feel like more than it is. That hit him. I saw it immediately. Marcus looked down, then took one step back. Understood. The distance felt worse than the argument. He turned to leave, and I reached for his wrist without thinking. My fingers closed around him. Marcus stopped. His eyes dropped to my hand, then lifted slowly to mine. Neither of us moved. I did not mean that. I whispered. Which part? Before I could answer, Noah's monitor started beeping inside the room. A nurse called my name. Marcus pulled away first, but he did not leave. He followed me back inside, and when the doctor said Noah's latest results were not what they had hoped, Marcus's hand found the back of my neck. Just for a second. Firm. Steady. Too familiar to be fake. And this time, I did not pretend I had not needed it. Marcus stayed all night. He did not make a big deal about it. He did not even sit beside me at first. He took the chair across from Noah's bed, loosened his tie, and answered work emails with the brightness turned low while I watched the monitor numbers rise and fall. Around 2 in the morning, the doctor finally told us Noah was stable. Not better. Just stable. I nodded like that was enough, then walked into the hallway before my face could give me away. The vending machines hummed beside me. My hands would not stop shaking. I heard Marcus approach, but he did not touch me. Not right away. You should go home, I muttered. No, you have work. I moved the meeting. I looked at him. The meeting about your grandfather's company? Yes. Marcus, that is the whole reason you married me. His expression tightened. No, it was the reason I met you. The words hit harder than they should have. I looked away first. You do not have to keep proving anything. I am not proving anything. Then why are you still here? He stared at me for a long second. The hallway felt too bright. Too quiet. Because you are here. My chest pulled tight. I gave a small, tired laugh. That sounds like something a real husband would say. Maybe I am tired of pretending I do not mean it. I stopped breathing. Marcus looked almost angry, but not at me. At himself. His hand lifted like he wanted to reach for mine, then fell back to his side. At dinner, when you talked about me showing up, he continued, voice lower now. That felt real to me. I swallowed. Marcus. And when you told me to stop making this feel like more than it is, I knew exactly what you meant. His eyes stayed on mine. Because it already does. My heart started pounding so hard I could hear it. You barely know me. I know you take your coffee too sweet. I know you leave one kitchen cabinet open every morning. I know you call Noah twice during every work shift, even when he tells you not to. He stepped closer, careful, like I might back away. I know you pretend you are fine when you are scared. The space between us disappeared inch by inch. And I know I did not want you pulling away from me. I could not think of a safe answer. So I gave him the dangerous one. I did not want to. Something changed in his face. His shoulders loosened. His eyes dropped briefly to my hand hanging between us. This time, he reached for it. His fingers slid through mine slowly, giving me every chance to stop him. I did not. For a few seconds, we just stood there in the empty hospital hallway holding hands like it was the most honest thing either of us had done. "This is a bad idea," I whispered. "Probably. We are married for paperwork." "I know. Noah is sick. Your family is watching us. Everything is complicated." Marcus's thumb moved once across my knuckles. "I know that too." I looked at our hands. "Then why does this feel?" I could not finish. Marcus leaned closer, his forehead almost touching mine. "Real." My stomach dropped. I looked up. He was not smiling. He was not joking. "It feels real to me," he murmured. The door to Noah's room opened behind us. We stepped apart too late. A nurse glanced at our hands as they separated, then gave us a knowing smile. Marcus did not look embarrassed. He looked annoyed that we had let go, and that was when I finally understood. I was not the only one who did not want things to go back to normal. For 2 days after the hospital, Marcus barely touched me. Not because he was cold. That would have been easier. He still made coffee. Still left dinner covered on the stove when I worked late. Still texted me updates from Noah's room when I could not get away. But every time our hands almost met, he pulled back. Every time the room got quiet, he found something else to do. I told myself he was being careful. Then I heard him talking to the attorney. I had just come home when his voice carried from the office. "Have the separation papers ready before the deadline." I stopped in the hallway. My chest tightened so fast it hurt. The attorney said something I could not hear. Marcus lowered his voice. "I want Ethan protected when this ends." "When this ends." I stepped back before he could see me, grabbed my keys, and left through the front door like I had forgotten something in the car. I drove around for almost an hour with no place to go. By the time I came back, Marcus was in the kitchen. He looked up immediately. "Where were you?" "Out." His eyes narrowed. "You did not answer your phone." "I was driving." "For an hour?" I opened the refrigerator even though I was not hungry. "You do not have to keep track of me." The room went still. Marcus set down the knife he had been using. "What happened?" "Nothing." "Ethan." The way he said my name made it worse. I closed the refrigerator harder than necessary. "You can stop pretending now." His face changed. "Pretending what?" "That this is real." He stared at me. "I told you it felt real. And now you are preparing separation papers." Silence. Just long enough for my stomach to drop. Marcus looked toward the office, then back at me. "You heard that." "Enough of it." "No. You heard part of it." I laughed once, sharp and tired. "You said when this ends." "Because I thought you might want it to." That stopped me. Marcus stepped closer, but there was still space between us. "You have spent your whole life taking care of Noah. Then I gave you a contract and a house and a problem you did not ask for. I did not want you to feel trapped here. So you decided for me? I gave you a way out. I did not ask for one." His jaw tightened. "You also did not say you wanted to stay." The words landed between us. I looked away. Because he was right. I had held his hand in a hospital hallway. I had let him see me scared. But I had not said anything clear. Neither had he. "This is exactly what I was afraid of," I whispered. Marcus's expression softened. "What?" "That we would make this feel normal. Then one day, one of us would remember it was temporary." He took another step. "I have not forgotten what this started as. That is not the same as wanting it to continue." His eyes held mine. "I do want it to continue." My heart stumbled. Marcus exhaled slowly, frustrated now. "But I do not know what to call this. I do not know what you need from me. And every time I think I should say something, you look like you are about to run. Maybe I am scared. So am I." That was the first time he admitted it. No calm voice. No polished answer. Just the truth. Before I could respond, his phone buzzed on the counter. He glanced at the screen, and his whole posture changed. "It is my mother." He answered. I watched his face tighten as she spoke. Then he looked at me. "She wants us at the Hale Foundation dinner tomorrow." "Why?" Marcus ended the call and set the phone down. "Grant has been asking questions." My stomach sank. "About us. About whether our marriage is real." He moved closer until our shoulders nearly touched. "Tomorrow night, everyone will be watching." His hand hovered beside mine, but he did not take it. And I do not know which part scares me more. Them finding out we lied, or you deciding we did not. The problem with pretending to be in love was that Marcus had gotten too good at touching me like he meant it. At the foundation dinner, his hand stayed at my lower back as we moved through the ballroom. Not tight, not possessive, just there. Steady, familiar. Every time someone looked our way, he leaned closer. Every time Grant appeared across the room, Marcus's thumb moved once against my jacket like a warning. Or reassurance. I could not tell anymore. You are quiet, he murmured. I am trying not to ruin your inheritance. That is not what I meant. Before I could answer, a man from Marcus's company stepped beside us and smiled at me. So you are the mystery husband. Apparently. Marcus kept you hidden. The man laughed and touched my arm as he spoke. It was harmless. Barely anything. But Marcus's hand tightened at my back. Ethan was busy taking care of his brother, he replied. His tone stayed polite. His eyes did not. The man moved on a minute later. Marcus did not loosen his hold. I looked up at him. Are you jealous? No, too fast. You are. I am not discussing this here. That sounds like a yes. His jaw flexed. Ethan. What? Not here. That should have ended it. Instead, I stepped away from him. His hand fell from my back. The loss of it hit me immediately. Right, I muttered. We only talk honestly in hospital hallways. Marcus went still. Across the room, Grant was watching us. I did not care. I walked toward the empty service corridor beside the ballroom. Marcus followed. The door swung shut behind us, cutting off the music. What are you doing? His voice was low. I am done acting normal. He stared at me. We are in the middle of a dinner. Exactly. You have had your hand on me all night. You got angry when someone touched my arm. Then the second I asked what it means, you shut down. Marcus took a breath. Slow. Controlled. I was trying to protect us. From Grant. From everyone. Including me? That landed. His eyes dropped for a second. I stepped closer. Tell me the truth. Do you want this marriage after Noah is better? Marcus looked back at me. No polished expression now. No business voice. Yes. My heart started pounding. Why? Because I do not want the house quiet again. His hand opened and closed at his side. Because I wait for your keys at night. Because I know which coffee cup you reach for when you are tired. Because when you pull away, I feel it for hours. I could barely breathe. Marcus moved closer, leaving only a few inches between us. And because watching another man touch you made me want to drag you out of that room. That sounds like jealousy. It was. The honesty in his voice hit harder than the word. I looked down at his hand. Then why did you prepare separation papers? Because wanting you is not the same as having the right to keep you. Silence. Heavy. Real. Marcus lifted his hand, but stopped before touching my face. Tell me to step back. I should have. Everything was still complicated. Noah was still sick. The marriage had started as a deal. Do you want to? I whispered. No, then do not. His fingers touched my jaw, careful enough to make my chest ache. He leaned in slowly. Close enough that his forehead rested against mine. Close enough that one more inch would change everything. Ethan, he breathed. The ballroom door opened behind us. Voices spilled into the corridor. Marcus pulled back, but his hand stayed against my face. Grant stood at the far end, staring. Marcus did not move away this time. Neither did I. Grant looked from Marcus's hand on my face to the space between us. Am I interrupting something? My stomach dropped. Marcus did not move his hand. That mattered more than anything he could have said. Yes, he answered. Grant blinked. So did I. Marcus lowered his hand only to take mine. His fingers closed around mine, firm and warm, and this time there was no audience excuse. No insurance review. No family story. Just a choice. We are married, Marcus continued. The details are none of your business. Grant gave a short laugh. You expect everyone to believe this? I felt Marcus tense beside me. For once, I did not let him handle it alone. I stepped closer until our shoulders touched. You do not have to believe it. My voice shook, but I kept going. We do. Grant stared at us for another second, then walked away without another word. Marcus looked down at our joined hands. You did not have to do that. I know. His eyes lifted to mine, and something softened. You keep stealing my lines. You have good lines. The corner of his mouth finally moved. Then the ballroom door opened again, and his mother appeared. She took in our faces, our hands, the empty hallway. Everything all right? Marcus glanced at me. He was giving me the choice. I tightened my fingers around his. We are fine. We walked back into the ballroom together. Grant watched from across the room, but Marcus did not let go. Not when his mother introduced us to donors. Not when someone asked how married life was going. Not even when the music started and couples moved toward the dance floor. Do we have to dance? I muttered. Absolutely not. Marcus paused. Unless you want to. I do not dance. Neither do I. We ended up doing it anyway. Badly. His hand rested at my waist while mine stayed on his shoulder. We barely moved, just shifted from one foot to the other while people talked around us. It should have felt ridiculous. Instead, it felt quiet. Safe. What happens after the deadline? I asked. Marcus's eyes stayed on mine. Whatever you want. That is not an answer. I am trying not to trap you. Then stop deciding I want to leave. His breath caught. Just slightly. Ethan, I want to stay. The words were simple. Still, saying them made my chest feel lighter than it had in months. Marcus did not make a speech. He only pulled me a little closer. Good, he murmured. Because I do not want to go back to living alone. 3 weeks later, Noah was approved for surgery. It went better than anyone expected. When he came home, he took over Marcus's couch, complained about the food, and acted like scaring 10 years off my life had been no big deal. One morning, I found an envelope on the kitchen table. The separation papers. Marcus had signed his part and left mine blank. I stared at them for a long time. Then I carried them to the stove and dropped them into the trash. Marcus walked in holding 2 mugs. His eyes went to the envelope, then to me. You are sure? I took my coffee from him. Too sweet. Exactly right. I am sure. He looked relieved in a way he tried to hide. So what now? I reached for his hand across the counter. Now you make breakfast. That is your romantic ending. You burn less food than I do. Noah called from the living room. Can you two be married quieter? Marcus laughed, and I realized I had never heard that sound in this house before me. He leaned over and pressed a quick kiss to my forehead, like it belonged there. Then he turned toward the stove without letting go of my hand. We had married because we both needed something. I thought saving Noah was the whole reason. It was not. Somewhere between hospital nights, cold coffee, and the light Marcus left on for me, I stopped feeling like a guest in his life. And he stopped feeling like a stranger in mine.